finally here. Aren't you a sweet little pumpkin face?
Hey, Mama, you asking for it.
Good Times was a groundbreaking show. It was the first major network sitcom featuring an African-American two-parent family. With a stellar ensemble cast, sharp jokes, and impressive viewership numbers, it was a huge hit, bolstered by a memorable theme song. And although it was one of the most watched shows on television in the 70s, most folks don't know where the careers of the actors on the show went once its sixth and final season was over. So where are they now? Join us as we explore the journeys of the Good Times cast and discover where they are today. Jeanette Dubois as Willona Woods. Willona Woods, played by Jeanette Dubois, was a vibrant and cherished character on Good Times. As a neighbor and close friend of the Evans family, Willona was known for her strong-willed and independent nature. She had a knack for spreading a bit of gossip, always adding a touch of lively energy to any situation. Her caring personality and infectious enthusiasm made her a constant source of support and joy for those around her. Though Willona was portrayed as a divorced woman who fully embraced her single life, her world was turned upside down when little Penny came into her life, adding a new dimension to her character's story. While the exact age of Willona when the show began isn't explicitly stated, it's implied that she and Florida, played by Esther Roll, were of similar ages. This would suggest that Willona was around 54 years old in real life at the show's start. However, there's some mystery surrounding Jeanette Dubois' own age. While most sources agree that she was born on August 5th, there are conflicting reports about the year, with dates ranging from 1932 to 1938, or even as late as 1945. This uncertainty adds an intriguing layer to Dubois' legacy and character portrayal. Willona Woods was a pivotal character on Good Times, though she wasn't initially intended to be the show's lead. When Florida and James were written out of the series, the producers were faced with the challenge of finding a new central figure for the show. Willona emerged as the natural choice to step into this role. By season 5, after adopting Penny, Willona became an even more central figure in the lives of the Evans children, who, by that point, were essentially left without their parents. Following the cancellation of Good Times, Dubois continued to build on her acting career with numerous roles across TV and film. She made guest appearances on a variety of shows, including The Love Boat, Home Improvement, ER, and The Wayans Brothers. Her talent also extended to voice acting, earning her an Emmy for her work on Eddie Murphy's animated series The PJs. Jeanette Dubois passed away unexpectedly in her sleep in 2020, but her death revealed an astonishing secret. While many biographical sources listed her parents as Lillian Guy and Gordon Adelbert Dubois, her death certificate uncovered that her biological father was actually the legendary jazz musician Cab Calloway. This revelation added a new layer to her legacy. Calloway, known for his iconic role in the 1980 film The Blues Brothers, was a celebrated figure in jazz, and Dubois' musical talents, including her work writing, composing, and performing the Jeffersons' theme song, Movin' On Up, suggest a strong familial connection. John Amos as James Evans. James Evans Sr., portrayed by John Amos, was the heart and soul of the Evans family on Good Times. As a loving and devoted husband and a strict but caring father, James embodied many of the qualities associated with the stereotypical father figure of his era. His character was a reflection of his struggles and triumphs, representing the reality of many African-American families at the time. James Evans was born on May 6, 1932, which would have made him nearly 42 years old when Good Times first aired. In contrast, John Amos, born on December 27, 1939, was about 7 years younger than the character he portrayed. James's backstory was as compelling as his on-screen persona. Raised in poverty, he dropped out of school after the 6th grade and faced significant challenges in finding stable employment. His determination to provide for his family was evident in his constant juggling of 2 jobs, a fact he bluntly expressed to his wife, saying, "You want to know how we're getting by? That's how we're getting by, baby. Me working 2 jobs, you working now and again." The show's creators originally had no plans for James Evans Sr. However, Esther Roll, who played Florida Evans, was adamant that she would not join the show unless her character had a husband. Her insistence led to the creation of James Evans, bringing John Amos into the role. James Evans Sr., originally envisioned as a central character, faced a tumultuous behind-the-scenes struggle that ultimately led to his removal from Good Times. John Amos clashed repeatedly with the show's writers over the portrayal of his character and African-American families in general. This ongoing tension culminated in Amos's firing and the subsequent killing off of James Evans Sr. The decision to fire Amos was handled poorly, with none of the cast members being informed in advance. They discovered Amos's departure only during a script reading for an upcoming episode, which caused a significant uproar. The backlash was intense and widespread, extending beyond fans to include fellow actors and political groups like the Black Panthers. These groups were already dissatisfied with how the show depicted black families, and Amos's firing only exacerbated their frustration. Amos himself was deeply unhappy with the way the show portrayed African American life, feeling that the white writers lacked the understanding necessary to accurately represent black families. "I felt like I knew more about what a black family should be and how a black father would act than our writers, none of whom were black," Amos expressed. Although Good Times did have 2 black creators, their influence was significantly diminished over time, which further fueled the dissatisfaction and conflict surrounding the show's direction. Amos's frustration with the show was certainly justified. Not only were the black writers marginalized, but the white writers also ignored the input of the black actors, particularly on cultural and moral issues. John Amos was particularly dismayed by the disproportionate focus on JJ, a character whose antics and catchphrase, "dynamite," dominated the show. Amos felt that too much emphasis was placed on JJ's comedic escapades, while his siblings, who had their own aspirations and talents, were largely overlooked. "I felt too much emphasis was being put on JJ and his chicken hat and saying 'dynamite' every 3rd page," Amos lamented. His frustration led to frequent outbursts on set, with Amos's temper reaching a boiling point. There were even instances where he physically threatened the writers, further escalating tensions. Faced with the choice between his writers and Amos, show creator Norman Lear ultimately sided with the writing team. "What we had to let you go, John, is we can't have you threatening the writers' lives, and the writers are getting nervous. We're going to have to let you go," Lear explained, resulting in Amos's departure and the removal of his character from the show. The show's writers chose to write off James Evans in a dramatic and tragic manner. He was killed in a car accident while en route to Mississippi. James had been on his way to the southern state with hopes of creating a better life for his family. The heartbreaking news of his death was delivered to his family back home in a powerful and emotional scene that opened the 4th season. In a moment that would become one of the most unforgettable and poignant scenes in sitcom history, Florida Evans receives the devastating news. "We regret to inform you that your husband, James Evans, was killed in an auto..." The loss becomes the catalyst for Florida's emotional outburst, a raw and heart-wrenching display of grief that encapsulates all the pain and turmoil she has been holding inside. Her anguished cry of "damn, damn, damn" reverberates through the episode, marking a significant and memorable moment in television history. After Good Times ended, John Amos continued to work steadily in television and film up until 2023, when he was 83 years old. He remained a prominent figure in the industry, notably appearing in significant productions like Coming to America, All About the Andersons, and The West Wing. Beyond his acting career, Amos was also a distinguished veteran of the 50th Armored Division of the New Jersey National Guard and held the honorary title of Master Chief in the United States Coast Guard. Amos has had 2 marriages. His first marriage was to artist and equestrian Noel Mickelson. They were married for a decade, from 1965 to 1975, and had 2 children together. His second marriage was to actress Lillian Lehman, lasting only a year from 1978 to 1979. As of 2023, Amos was under the care of his son, K.C. That same year, Amos was thrust into the spotlight when his daughter Shannon publicly accused her brother of abusing their father. Amos himself has vehemently denied these allegations, and a police investigation found no evidence to support Shannon's claims. Jimmy Walker as J.J. Evans. James J.J. Evans, Jr., played by Jimmy Walker, was the eldest of the 3 Evans children on Good Times, and arguably one of the most memorable characters on the show. J.J. was known for his larger-than-life personality and comedic flair. Despite his talent as an artist, he struggled academically and lacked the drive and ambition seen in his siblings. As the family's comic relief, J.J. often got into trouble, both at home and outside, and his frequent conflicts with his sister only added to the chaos. J.J.'s iconic catchphrase, "Dynamite," perfectly captured his exuberant energy and mischievous nature. This catchphrase, along with nicknames like Kid Dynamite and Casanova of the Ghetto, became synonymous with his character's high-spirited antics. When Good Times premiered, J.J. was portrayed as a 17-year-old, but in reality, Walker was about 10 years older, having been born on June 25, 1947. By the time he began playing J.J., Walker was around 27. On the show, James Sr. was depicted as being about 25 years older than J.J., but in reality, John Amos, who played James Sr., was only 7.5 years older than Walker. Before Good Times, Jimmy Walker had no acting credits to his name. His background was primarily in stand-up comedy. Although Norman Lear urged Walker to take acting classes, he refused. Walker's catchphrase, "Dynamite," became so iconic that it not only permeated everyday language but also inspired a children's magazine of the same name, which was published from 1974 to 1992. In 1975, Walker even graced the cover of the magazine. Interestingly, Lear was initially not fond of the catchphrase. Walker himself doubted the phrase's appeal, thinking it was too ridiculous to catch on. However, director John Rich was adamant that it remain in the script, responding, "Yes, they are," and it went on to become one of J.J.'s defining traits throughout the series. Despite the catchphrase's popularity, not everyone was pleased with J.J.'s portrayal. Many, particularly within the black community, felt that his character was a negative stereotype and a poor representation of black youth. Esther Rolla and John Amos were among the most vocal critics of J.J.'s depiction. This dissatisfaction led to significant tension between Walker and his co-stars. Walker admitted in interviews that he and Roll never had a personal relationship beyond what was scripted, stating, "We were never friends, we never spoke to each other, only on the set." The rift was so deep that Walker was the only cast member who did not attend Roll's funeral when she passed away in 1998. Yet, Jimmy Walker was passionate in defending his portrayal of J.J. Evans, Jr., insisting that despite J.J.'s mischievous behavior and some borderline criminal antics, the character had a strong moral foundation. For example, in one memorable episode, J.J. gets shot for refusing to join a gang, highlighting his underlying principles. Walker also pointed out a notable comparison. Was Fonzie ever considered a bad example for white youth? He argued that, in many ways, Fonzie and J.J. were similar. One was white and the other was black. After Good Times, Walker faced challenges in advancing his acting career. He took on various minor roles in both film and television, but struggled to find substantial work. Nevertheless, he thrived as a stand-up comedian, making numerous guest appearances on talk shows. As of 2024, Walker is 77 years old. He has never married and does not have any children. Ralph Carter as Michael Evans. Michael Evans, played by Ralph Carter, was the youngest of Florida and James Evans's 3 children on Good Times. Despite his youth, Michael was notably politically aware and articulate, often engaging in passionate discussions about civil rights, social injustice, and racial inequality. His outspoken nature earned him the affectionate nickname Militant from his father and Grumps from Willona. Michael was a model student, known for his A grades and his ambition to become a lawyer, although his strong opinions sometimes led to conflicts with his teachers. One of my heroes, Crispus Attucks, wasn't afraid when his turn came. Now, who was Crispus Attucks? He was a black man. He was the first man to die in the Revolutionary War, Michael once declared, showcasing his deep knowledge and commitment to history. When Good Times premiered, Michael was portrayed as an 11-year-old. Ralph Carter, who was born in 1961, was only 2 years older than his character at the time. Michael Evans was inspired by one of the show's key creators, Mike Evans. Initially, the producers considered casting a young Lawrence Fishburne for the role, but ultimately chose Carter. Another contender was Haywood Nelson, who later starred as Dwayne Nelson in What's Happening, a show also co-created by Mike Evans. To this day, Haywood Nelson, Lawrence Fishburne, and Ralph Carter remain close friends. Carter reflects fondly on their long-lasting friendship. The majority of my life, I've been friends with Lawrence Fishburne since we were 9 years old, along with Haywood Nelson. In the earlier seasons of Good Times, Michael Evans often delivered lines and jokes that addressed issues within black communities. Despite Norman Lear's reputation for political and racial satire, the producers chose to have these lines spoken by a wise, cracking, yet innocent child, believing it would be a safer approach. After Good Times ended, Carter's acting career struggled to take off. He found it difficult to secure roles and spent much of his time performing in nightclubs. Over the years, he faded from the public eye and became the subject of various sensational and slanderous rumors, including false claims about his sexuality, health, and even his death. Despite these rumors, Ralph Carter is very much alive and well. As of the latest update, he is 63 years old. Carter has 2 children from his first marriage and 3 from his second marriage. He has been happily married to his second wife since 1994. Janet Jackson as Penny. Millicent Penny Woods was played by Janet Jackson, who joined Good Times at the start of Season 5. Penny was introduced as a sweet, bubbly girl with a heartbreaking secret. When Willona Woods, a close friend and neighbor of the Evans family, discovers bandages hidden under Penny's dress, it becomes clear that Penny has been living with an abusive mother. After a difficult journey, Penny is ultimately adopted by Willona. At the time of her casting, Janet Jackson was just 9 years old, making her the same age as her character. Penny's fictional birth date was August 16, 1966, and Janet was born on May 16th of that year. The character's nickname, Penny, is derived from the last part of her full name, Millicent, with a touch of irony. Penny was practically penniless before being rescued by Willona. The character of Penny was introduced as a last-ditch effort to save Good Times, which was in turmoil behind the scenes. Esther Rolla, who played the show's matriarch Florida Evans, had left abruptly at the end of Season 4. This departure came after another key actor had been fired under contentious circumstances. With 2 major characters gone and the show's future in jeopardy, the creators decided to elevate Willona Woods to the lead matriarchal role. To avoid a complicated storyline involving pregnancy and finding Willona a new husband, the writers chose to go with an adoption plotline for Willona instead. Janet Jackson, who was cast as Penny, was only 9 years old and new to acting. While the role significantly boosted her career and helped establish her as a major star, she was not fond of it. At just 10 years old, Janet Jackson was already beginning to develop physically. To conceal this from viewers, the wardrobe team had to use gauze to tightly bind her chest. Janet reflected on this, saying, "Yeah, she did," referring to the need to bind her chest because her development was advanced for her age. However, the situation didn't improve with time. The very next season, Janet was told by the producers that she was too heavy. "Just before we were to start the next season, the producers called and told me that I was too fat and needed to lose weight," she recounted. Struggling with these harsh criticisms while still a teenager, Janet faced significant challenges with her self-esteem and body image, feeling persistently inadequate and pressured to meet unrealistic standards. Janet Jackson has faced her share of personal struggles despite her remarkable success in the music industry. Throughout her life, she battled depression and eating disorders, a stark contrast to her thriving career. At just 18, she eloped with musician James DeBarge, a union that was fraught with difficulties. Rumors of a secret child emerged, but Janet has consistently denied these claims, although DeBarge and his family remain convinced that such a child exists. Janet has addressed these rumors, saying, "How could I keep a child from their father? I could never do that. That's not right." Janet's personal life saw 3 marriages, each ending in turmoil. From her 3rd marriage, she has a son born in 2017. As of 2024, Janet Jackson is 58 years old and boasts an estimated net worth between $150 to $180 million. Despite her financial success and career achievements, she continues to navigate the challenges of her personal life. Bernadette Stanis as Thelma Evans. Thelma Evans, portrayed by Bernadette Stanis, was the spirited middle child and only daughter of Florida and James Evans on Good Times. As the apple of her father's eye, Thelma was often referred to as Baby Girl by James, highlighting their close bond. Despite this affectionate nickname, Thelma was known for her fierce independence and assertive nature, especially in her interactions with her mischievous brother JJJ. Their dynamic was marked by a love-hate relationship, with Thelma not hesitating to stand her ground against JJ's antics. Thelma's curiosity about romance was a recurring theme on the show. She was frequently seen dating various boyfriends and even had several fiancés, reflecting her active social life and interest in the opposite sex. Beyond her romantic pursuits, Thelma had ambitious dreams of becoming a surgeon. She was determined to excel academically, believing that good grades would enhance her chances of gaining admission to a prestigious university. "If I get good grades, I have a better chance to get into one of the top universities in the country," she declared, underscoring her commitment to her future aspirations. Bernadette Stanis, born on December 22, 1953, was 20 years old when she took on the role of Thelma Evans on Good Times. This made her 4 years older than her character, who was 16 when the show began. Interestingly, on the show, Thelma's father was portrayed as being around 22 years older than her. In real life, John Amos, who played James Evans, is only 14 years older than Stanis. In Season 2, Lou Gossett Jr. appeared as Thelma's boyfriend, Donald Knight. A year later, he returned to the series in a different role as Uncle Wilbert, Florida's brother. This change was part of the show's behind-the-scenes turmoil, as producers were planning to fire Amos and seek a new patriarchal figure. Despite this, both Amos and Gossett later reunited in the 1977 TV miniseries Roots. After Good Times concluded, Bernadette Stanis continued to build her acting career. She made notable guest appearances on popular shows such as The Love Boat, The Cosby Show, and The Wayans Brothers. Her most recent role includes a recurring part in the TV series The Family Business, where she appeared in 10 episodes as Ann Duncan. In addition to her television work, Stanis has several film credits and is particularly proud of her achievements as a published author. Stanis has been married 4 times. From her 3rd marriage, she has 1 child, and from her current marriage to businessman Kevin Fontana, she has a 2nd child. As of the latest update, Stanis is 70 years old. Esther Rowley as Florida Evans. Florida Evans, portrayed by Esther Roll, was the steadfast matriarch of the Evans family on Good Times. As a devoted wife and nurturing mother, Florida embodied resilience and dedication. Despite her essential role in the family, Florida never completed high school, leaving early to support her struggling parents with various minimum-wage jobs. She met James Evans in her teenage years, and they eventually married. In one memorable line, James quipped, "Give me one good reason why you married me. You was pregnant," highlighting the couple's early struggles. As a stay-at-home mother, Florida balanced the demands of cooking, cleaning, and caring for her 3 children. To make ends meet, she also took on part-time jobs to supplement the household income, especially since James was frequently unemployed. Florida was the heart of her family, often serving as the glue that held them together. She was also a pillar of support for her best friend and neighbor, Willona, and shared her wisdom with a memorable quote. "In all work, it's not the kind of work you do that gives you dignity. It's how well you do it." Esther Roll, born on November 8, 1920, was approximately 54 years old when the show began, making her about 15 years older than her character, Florida. On the show, Florida's birth date was August 4th, 1935, which would have made her around 39 at the start of Good Times. Florida Evans was originally envisioned as being just a few years younger than her on-screen husband, James Evans. However, in reality, Esther Roll was significantly older than John Amos, being 19 years his senior. Good Times was a spin-off from the popular Norman Lear show Maude, but the spin-off was never initially planned. Rowley, who had appeared in 30 episodes of Maude from 1972 to 1974, expressed a desire to continue working with Lear. Instead of relegating her to minor roles, Lear offered her a starring role in her own show, allowing her to reprise her character, Florida Evans. Roll came with specific demands for her new role. At the forefront was her insistence that her character should have a stable, supportive husband. She voiced her concerns directly, saying, "Am I going to have some say about this? Remember, I've been black the longest." She wanted the show to reflect a strong family dynamic similar to her own upbringing. When James Evans was killed off at the end of Season 3, Roll was deeply frustrated. The situation was exacerbated when Florida's husband was quickly replaced by a new character, Carl Dixon, played by Moses Gunn, which added to her dissatisfaction with the direction of the show. Esther Roll was outraged by the decision to quickly move Florida Evans on from her grief and remarry, as it contradicted the character's strong moral foundation and depth. For Roll, it was unfathomable that Florida would transition so rapidly from the loss of her husband. She was equally dismayed by how the character of JJ was portrayed. Roll felt that the show's creators were progressively diminishing JJ's intelligence and capabilities, reducing him to a caricature that she believed sent a harmful message to young black viewers. "He's 18, doesn't work, can't read or write, and doesn't think," she complained. "They've made JJ more stupid over time. I resent the imagery that suggests black kids can only succeed by standing on the corner shouting, 'Dynamite!'" She later criticized the creators harshly, stating, "Quite frankly, I did not agree for you to do a clown show to degrade young black men." By mid-season 4, Rolla's frustration reached a breaking point. Her abrupt departure from Good Times was explained by Florida moving away and marrying Carl Dixon, who, by then, had been written into the storyline as having developed cancer. With the exits of both Roll and John Amos, the show lost the core dynamics that the actors had fought to establish. The ratings plummeted sharply as a result. Recognizing their mistake, CBS programming president Steve Mills admitted in an interview, "We had lost the essence of the show. Without parental guidance, the show slipped. Our mail, our phone calls, and our research all indicated that we needed to return to the basics." After Good Times ended, Esther Rolla remained active in acting until her passing in 1998 at the age of 78. She left a notable legacy with several memorable performances, including her role in the TV movie Summer of My German Soldier, which earned her an Emmy Award. Her performance in Driving Miss Daisy also highlighted her versatility and continued presence in prominent film projects. In 1990, Roll was honored with the NADAACP Chairman's Civil Rights Leadership Award, making her the first woman to receive this accolade. This recognition celebrated her significant contributions to improving the portrayal and image of Black individuals in the media. Johnny Brown as Nathan Bookman. Nathan Bookman, played by Johnny Brown, was the scheming yet comically endearing superintendent of the housing project where the Evans family lived. Initially introduced as a recurring character, Nathan's role quickly expanded as he became a permanent fixture by the show's fourth season. Early on, he was a classic antagonist, often clashing with the Evans family and becoming a source of constant irritation. His character was known for his scheming nature and was frequently mocked for his weight, slow wit, and devious antics. Despite his antagonistic beginnings, Nathan Bookman's character evolved over time. He began to show more redeeming qualities, though he continued to be an outcast, never quite fitting in with the Evans family or the other residents. His dialogue was often laced with humorous and sardonic remarks, such as, "Yeah, but they both can't win, and they both can't lose either." Born on April 30, 1937, Nathan Bookman was portrayed by Johnny Brown, who was born on June 11, 1937. This made them approximately the same age. Early in the series, the dynamic between Nathan and Willona Woods was particularly tense, with Willona frequently deriding him with nicknames like Buffalo Butt and Booger. Notably, Good Times was the first television show to use the word booger, highlighting its role in pushing boundaries with its humor. After Good Times, Johnny Brown continued to enjoy a vibrant acting career, both on screen and on stage. He made memorable guest appearances on a wide range of popular shows, including Archie Bunker's Place, The Jeffersons, Fantasy Island, Family Matters, The Jamie Foxx Show, and Everybody Hates Chris. His post-Good Times career demonstrated his versatility and enduring appeal. Johnny Brown passed away on March 2, 2022, at the age of 84. He left behind a legacy of beloved characters and a successful career, along with his wife of 61 years and 2 children. Ben Powers as Keith Anderson. Powers is perhaps best known for his role as Keith Anderson in Good Times. Introduced in the show's 6th season, Keith Anderson is a former college football player whose promising NFL career is abruptly derailed by a freak accident. The character's descent into alcoholism and subsequent redemption arc, with Thelma Evans, played by Bernadette Stanis, playing a crucial role in his recovery, added a layer of emotional depth to the series. Powers' portrayal of Keith captured the complexities of a man grappling with shattered dreams and personal demons, highlighting his ability to convey both vulnerability and strength. In addition to his role on Good Times, Powers appeared in 6 episodes of Laugh-In and had a recurring role as Moochie in The New Mike Hammer. His work during the decade he was active in the industry demonstrated his versatility and commitment to his craft. Born on July 5, 1950, Alton Adelbert Ben Powers graced the screen with a memorable presence in a relatively brief but impactful acting career. Powers, who passed away on April 6, 2015, due to liver cancer, left a distinct mark on both film and television. Despite a limited number of film credits, including roles such as Al in The Man Who Loved Women, the pimp in Things Are Tough All Over, and a man on welfare in Cheech and Chong's next movie, his television work showcased his range and talent. Ben Powers' career, though brief, was marked by a dedication to his roles and a lasting impact on audiences. His contributions to television and film are remembered fondly, reflecting his talent and the memorable characters he brought to life. As we wrap up this exploration of the Good Times cast, it's fascinating to see how the actors' lives and careers have evolved since the show's original run. From Bernadette Stanis's breakthrough role as Thelma to Johnny Brown's memorable portrayal of Bookman, the legacy of Good Times continues to resonate. What are your thoughts on the changes in the cast's careers since the show aired? Have any of their post-Good Times roles particularly stood out to you? Share your comments below. For more deep dives into the cast of Good Times and their journeys from 1974 to 2024, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more content that celebrates the enduring influence of this classic show. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time. Bye.